I'm so impressed you got all this going.
I know, I'm very proud of myself too. Okay, so I think that we're live. I'm going to go ahead and start talking.
Okay.
Hey, y'all. It's Nicole. This is Conversations with Stay Wild Child. And I have a beautiful guest, Miss Moira, on with us today. And Moira, how do you say your last name?
Moriah O'Learnick.
Mariah. You know why I keep saying Moira?
I know we've had this conversation.
Moira, I'm sorry.
No, you're all good.
I did it before, and I was like, why did I do that again? I'm so sorry.
There's somebody in your family, somebody that you know that's a Moira.
No, it's that freaking TV show, Schitt's Creek, that I think is wonderful.
Oh my God, I love that show.
I know,
Love
me
that
too.
show. It's
I love
addictive.
that show. And so I just want you to be that because like their accents and their silliness, and I just think it's all delicious. And so everything I think,
I think my alter ego is Moira. I mean, she's like, oh, Danny boy. Like, I would love to be her.
right.
You know?
Oh my gosh. So yeah, so I know that I've done this like 3 different times, and we've like spent a weekend together. So I don't know. But you know, I binged over Shelter in Place. I binged Schitt's Creek, and I just giggled. And I asked my son, because my son and I, we love to do accents. And I said, you've got to watch this show so we can do their accents. We like to go shopping and keep accents the whole time that we're going shopping.
Every character in that show is perfect, you know, and they casted it perfectly. And what's interesting is that Eugene Levy and his son, you know, his son is the star of the show, and they wrote it, right, together and produced it together. I think that, you know, his son actually kind of took the lead, but what a cool project to have with your father.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, you know, I was actually thinking about that today on my way home. I ran an errand this morning, and yeah, I thought about the show. So I guess that's, yeah, I've got that in my subconscious programming there somewhere. But this is Conversations with Stay Wild Child, and I'm so glad that you're able to join us today.
Love you.
Yeah. So this is a group all about like empowering women. It's conversations. It is spreading and sharing magic. It's empowering. It's like allowing women. So the group is just for women currently. However, guys can totally watch the show. But the group is currently just for women because I felt like, you know, we needed a safe space. You know, when sometimes energy isn't quite where we want it to be, or there's something that maybe is going on in their life that, you know, they can type in a great message, or they can record themselves in a little video. And then we have all these incredible, empowering women and healers and light workers that come in, and they share a message, and they're like, oh yes, that's exactly what I needed to hear. So that is why I started this group, and it's all about helping women remember who they are before the world told them who they were supposed to be. We can get caught in that shoulds, in a lot of the shoulds, and I think that we kind of forget sometimes when we have these belief systems and these programs that we've had since we were wee little, and you know, we can just, I don't know, sometimes get a little bit stuck. And so that's what the group is about. And so I always love to take people back to exactly where you were, or if you remember, where you were kind of before the magic started opening up for you. What was that? Was there a story? Was there a time? Do you really remember something kind of like, oh, goodness, this is it, right? Like it just kind of shifted your reality, shifted your perception. Do you mind kind of just taking us back just a little bit and just sharing a little bit about the pre-magic time?
The pre-magic time.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
You know, since I was young, I bought my first house at 21. I started working for Morgan Stanley when I was 19. Got my Series 7 license at like 20 or something. I graduated undergrad on a Sunday, and I started my grad school program at the Citadel on a Monday. And it was just, I mean, excuse the expression, but balls to the wall, you know, and I felt like that's what success was, right? I worked for an insurance company and started up a new division of their company. I worked for Habitat for Humanity, and just did everything. I loved it, Don't get me
Sure.
wrong.
Yeah.
But it's what I thought the definition of success was.
Yeah.
And then, I decided to backpack for about 9 months. I sold my house and I went around the world by myself. It's where I met my husband.
Oh, I love
Um,
it.
yeah, it was super cool. And yeah, I got to see, I don't know, 17, 20 something countries, 26 countries, I think. I don't know. And afterwards moved to Seattle. And then I got in that rut again, where I was working for a CPG company in a brand management role. And it was just, it's hard, man. Like waking up every night at 4 o'clock in the morning, thinking about what am I supposed to do tomorrow? Having the brain going all the time. My husband is in the Air Force, and we got orders to Texas. And I started working for Rackspace, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
a
Okay.
hosting provider, right? And there ran up the ranks and started doing crazy things like 5 o'clock in the morning meetings and working till 7 o'clock at night, and just always being that type A perfectionist, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
I relate.
I resemble that remark, right?
Yes.
Uh, and interesting, I was speaking with Ellen Coomer the other day, who is my life coach, and I've been working with her for about 5 years. And there is this study that they did with women in the workplace, and men get this pragmatic kind of masculine energy from their testosterone, so it comes naturally from them, and they have 16 times more than what we do.
Oh,
We get it from our adrenal glands or cortisol, right? So it's kind of a facsimile of it. And we can only run so hard until we burn out. So I
mm,
found that, I would be exhausted at the end of the day. And I was thinking that I was truly an introvert because I couldn't be around anyone else because I was so hardcore at work. Um, and then, I think I was at Rackspace for, I mean, my career was 8.5 years there. I must have been there 4 or 5 years. And I met Ellen. She was working there at the time. She started doing some coaching and going through all these programs with William Whitecloud. And
yes. And what
yeah,
was it with this book?
what was his book? I just took his course. Oh, The Magician's Way.
Magician's Way. Yes,
That's a
that's how I met
beautiful
Ellen.
first
Through reading
book.
the book. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. All right. So you started
And
reading that book.
yeah, and she came over to my house. Well, just to back up a beat, she was a very type A. She had a life like a dating coach. She um, really was so pragmatic in the way that she approached her life and her definitions of success. I need passive income. I'm going to get rental homes. And none of it was true for her. So, of course, it didn't work out, right?
Mhm.
Approaching relationships from, a belief system that didn't support that, right? So, not having success there. And she was like, you know what? I think I'm going to quit my job and sail around the world for a year. And I'm going to be a life coach.
Yeah.
And I'm going to affect the lives of millions. And that's exactly what she's done. So I
Yeah.
found that so inspiring. My husband was coming to a point where he was retiring from the Air Force. And yeah, she came over and stood in my kitchen and did that unbendable arm exercise where you put your focus, can't bend that arm. And I was like, I really want to try this. So that's where my journey began. It was about 5 years ago. Uh, and haven't looked back since.
So good. So you are still with Rackspace, or you're no longer with Rackspace?
Yeah, so I had a baby and I went
Yeah, yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, how old is she now?
She's 4.
Oh goodness.
I
Okay.
know,
She was real little. Yeah, yeah.
a little.
Yeah.
Um, so, I did really well at Rackspace, and I started implementing a lot of these magical practices, right? I became a director of global alliance marketing, and I worked with the VMwares and the Microsofts and AWSs of the world. We had 30 partners under management with my team. And I had them come to my house for our annual planning, and we'd all meditate. And I had folks that were gentlemen that were very senior in their career, and I had, young rising stars, and I had folks very junior in their career, all in different roles. And we would set a joint vision for the next year. And it was funny because this final year that I did it, one of my superstars comes to me and said, "Hey, I did my vision, for next year, and Rackspace wasn't in it." And I said, "I support that. Let's go see what you need to do next." Uh, and then, long and short, there was so much turnover at Rackspace, and we had new leadership every other day. I think we went through 3 CEOs in 2 years, and it was just building your sandcastle and having it washed down um, every 6 months.
Right.
And I said, I really can't be an effective leader in this environment, because if I don't believe in the mission, I can't force my team to. So I chose to leave as well. And yeah, I've been out on my own for about a year now.
Oh, yeah. I got chills all over when you talked about bringing your team together for meditation. How incredible is that? So everyone was open to the idea, or did you have anyone who was in resistance, or did you feel like everybody was like, let's do this?
Everybody starts in resistance, right?
Yeah, sure.
So one of the first exercises that I did with them is, just they call it a set A, set B, and really had them think about what's everything that's coming up for you in doing this.
Oh,
I'm going to
yeah,
be silly. Um, and I shared with them, I mean, I was so vulnerable and honest with my team that I
yeah,
think that's why they responded so well. So even when I
sure.
left Rackspace and they knew I was moving out of Texas, and it's a year later, they all showed up at my house and brought lunch and wine through COVID. They were like, "We just had to see you to say goodbye."
Yeah,
So they'll be friends forever. But yeah, I think if you really set the stage and you're vulnerable and you say, "For me, I think that you all are going to think I'm a joke, that I'm not going to do this right, that we're not going to get any benefit out of the exercise, right?" And we listed it out on a piece of paper. At the time, I had a
yes,
broken knee at the house, right? So they all brought camping chairs and we sat in my living room and we all wrote it down. And I said, "Okay, well, if we go into this exercise with that energy, what's going to come of it? Well, we're not going to get anything out of it, and we're all going to
mhm,
feel stupid, right?
right.
Now, what is it that we want? We want a vision for the year that is a something that stretches us, something that's inspirational. I want to build, and I shared my vision, a passionate and unified team. Um,
Yeah,
and that's truly what we became. And everybody did their own personal vision as well as the team's vision. And we could support each other in all of that, right? Which was beautiful.
yes.
Um, and then, I mean, not for nothing, we crushed every goal. We built this team from nothing. It was just a really powerful piece of my professional career.
Oh, goodness sakes. Yes. Yes. I mean, I have I have this vision of things shifting and more of that type of energy being brought into, big business and corporate America, because it's so powerful. And you're absolutely right. I love the idea of writing it all down, which I've done it myself, because I've taken Ellen's, I've been a lot, coached with Ellen before as well. But it's true. It's you've got that resistance, and it's just calling it out. It's naming it, right? It's like, okay, so I'm gonna be the only one with my eyes closed, and everybody else's eyes are gonna be open, and they're gonna be staring at me. I mean, it's
It's the
just
silliest
garbage,
things, right?
right?
I apologize. I have this bang action, so COVID cuts we're doing in my
Yes.
household. My husband just dyed my hair and it's kind of orange. Um, so
I like
yeah,
it.
that worked out for me. So I
Did
have
he
to
cut it too?
apologize because yeah,
Did he cut it too?
he did.
So cute.
So
It's
I'm
so
doing this
cute.
number and look, I've got
I,
stripes. I feel like a
I love
zebra.
it.
Anyway,
Yeah.
continue. I'm sorry.
No, it's cute. The COVID cuts. Honey, will you dye my hair? It's cute.
We also call it the COVID-19 in my household. We're like, we have to
Yes,
exercise a little bit more. The freshman
yes,
15, this is COVID-19.
yes. Okay, so
Uh,
you've been gone from corporate America essentially for the last year. And I remember, so we went to I always called it a meditation retreat, which it was more than that. It was creation, it was stepping into your magic, it was naming all your resistance bullshit, it was, creating the life that you want to live. And so I think at that time I wasn't really out of the magic closet, if you will. So I called it a meditation retreat because I thought that people would sit well with that. I became a yoga instructor maybe, I think 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, something like that. And I remember everybody at that time going, oh, are you switching religions? You know, and so
Mhm.
it's just all these ideas and thoughts, you know, that people have about things. So I think at that time, when you and I went on the meditation retreat together, the creation, the magic, when we went on that together, it was somewhere in down near San Antonio somewhere.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was a great weekend. And I remember at that time that you were really talking about wanting to move to a place by the water.
Mhm.
And I remember that you were wanting to, your husband was, I could just visualize your little girl, just like this tan little girl with those cute little tan bathing suit lines, you know,
Mhm.
with the dark little feet.
Yeah.
I love a little tan baby. And so I could visualize that for you. Like I really could see that like transforming in your life. And so um, I think that that's your current update. So tell us kind of what's happened since Rack Space, and you're also a coach now as well, correct? You're a life
Ish.
coach ish.
Um,
Okay, yeah, I'm ish too, so I hear you.
Well, and it's funny that you say coming out of the magic closet because that's exactly how I felt as well.
Yeah,
And I see people in their journey. I mean, there is a time where you decide that there's crossroads, right? And it's like, I'm either all in this and I want it to be the foundation of my life,
yeah,
or I dabble in it and it's a hobby and I step in at choices, out of choices, and I get
yeah.
caught in that identity mix. Um,
Right. Yes, yes, that's exactly what it is. Yes.
and it's so funny how the fear of judgment really drives so deep. So
Mhm.
even once you've looked at your identity and I know my belief systems and you still get caught in it. Even
Yeah,
today,
you
I
do.
mean, we still get caught in it. But
Sure.
what I'm doing today is, well, couple fold actually. Um, yes, I'm on a coaching track with Ellen in order to become a coach. I don't necessarily know that I want a whole big stable of coaching clients, but I really like to help entrepreneurs build businesses that they love. So
Yeah.
I'm actually doing that with Ellen, helping her build this global business.
Yes.
Um, I'm doing that with a woman named Tracy Loring, who has a
Oh,
really
yes.
cool product that's going to come out and help people look at home buying in a very new way.
Oh, nice.
Um,
Okay.
I'm doing that with my best friend. We're going to make him the premier realtor of the Gulf Coast of Florida. So my choice around business is allowing people to breathe easier. So really, it's helping entrepreneurs to breathe easy.
Nice. Yes. So, and you have just recently relocated because you had this vision in your mind of exactly the life that you wanted to create and where you wanted to live. So, tell us just a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my husband and I, he's a scuba dive instructor. He got out of the military and he used his GI Bill to go become a scuba instructor. Instead of gifting it to my daughter, which she would have about $130,000 towards college, but it was true for him to get out so he wouldn't keep deploying and be here for her to grow up. I was like, that's the choice.
Yeah. Yes.
Um, and, we were just sitting, there's not much scuba diving in Texas. I knew I wasn't really wanting to go back to corporate America as it is today. I think there's a new corporate, to your point, and the new corporate is exciting for me. So I feel
Yeah.
like it's our opportunity to go build it now. Um, and yeah, we had this vision for a simple life on the beach and having a guest house and doing all these things. And we were going to take a trip to Honduras, Roatan. It's where we did our baby moon. Um, and we were going to spend 2 weeks there, live like locals, and really see what kind of life we wanted there. And then COVID hit and borders closed, and our trip was canceled, postponed, I will say.
That was fun. Right. Right. Right.
So in that time, we also had this vision of being with our best friends. So I have a best friend since kindergarten. His name is Greg. And he and um, I mean, we went to senior prom together.
Oh,
I
cool.
lived all over the country and we remained pen pals. Um, I was kind of best man in his wedding, and he was in my wedding party. He is godfather to my daughter, and I am godmother to his son. And the four of us, the couples here, we just wanted to live together. And it's the middle of COVID. Why shouldn't we?
Sure.
So they sold their house in Pittsburgh and moved to Florida, a place where it was just cheap to have waterfront property with a big pool. Um, so a place called Cape Coral, which is in the Gulf Course, or
Yeah.
Gulf Coast. Um, we went down to visit, and within a day, we said, "Yep, this is it." And it was just easy. There was no. What I love about this work is that when you know it's true for you, there's no should I, shouldn't I, the angsting, the chaos that we put ourselves through. It's just
Yeah.
easy, right? The decision, and it's not always easy. You're going to have hiccups along the way, but you know what
Yeah.
you want and the direction you're going, and every step is logical to get there.
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
awesome. We came back, well, when I was in Florida still, because we stayed for 2 weeks, and we left, when did we leave? The 1st of July. We left the
Okay.
1st of July. Um, and I had already called a realtor. She had a stager. She came through the house. She walked the house. She said, "It's great. This is what we need to do." We picked a price. Um, Lo and behold, we get back to Texas, and I'm like, man, we got to put in carpets. We've got to paint
Yeah.
walls. We have to do all
All the
this
to
stuff.
dos. Yeah.
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 And I was like, I really don't want to do that. So I knew that we were moving, and didn't know where, didn't have a rental, didn't have anything. So I um, told my husband, well, we should say goodbye to a couple friends. And we invited a few friends over. I didn't realize that this one couple was in the market for 6 weeks. There are very few houses with pools in Texas, and they've always loved our home. So they said, listen, that night, I mean, they gave us an offer, like 5K over asking or something. Um, and we said, okay, let's just do that. And they said, don't paint the walls, don't do the carpet, don't do whatever. Give us a little credit, and we'd like to pick out our own stuff. Perfect. And then I
Yeah.
said, I don't want to move any of my things. They were like, well, we love your dining room table, and we love this, and we love that. And we are like, great, have it. So, yeah, we sold the house just like that. I didn't have to have a realtor on my side, and we saved a bunch of money. It was just super duper uber easy. We had an online notary, and we were able to like sign our paperwork from the kitchen down in Florida. So we had the offer in and all that, the inspection and whatnot happened. Great. Um, Now I need to find a place to move, right? Like we're
Right.
supposed to
Right.
be out of the house, we're closing. Um, and it's very difficult to find like long-term rentals, so they say. Um,
Yeah. Right.
and my friend
So
that
they
is a,
say. This is exactly what it is. You're like, so they say. Exactly. Right. Yeah.
and I had so many people telling me, you may have to compromise, you might not be on the water, you're not going to have the pool you want. And I said, no, I'm on the water, and I have a large pool, and I have white couches, and I sit after my long drive, and I have a glass of champagne, and I say, we did it on my white couches. And this is, I just held that vision. Um, so I ordered movers without a place to actually move my stuff. So it was going to go into storage. Uh, yeah, and it was probably, I don't know, a week before we were going to leave that a realtor called my friend Greg and said, "Hey, I found you a place." He did a walkthrough. He's like, "And it's got your white couches. And here's your pool. And here's your waterfront. Oh, and it's a better price than you thought. Oh, and you can have it for 6.5 months, so you don't have to pay vacation rental tax. And they'll take your two dogs," which was, an issue. So, oh, and get this, it's zero point 0.9 miles away from their house. So, like the two best friends, and we want the kids to grow up together and whatnot, we literally take the little Barbie Jeep and walk to each other's houses.
Oh my gosh. How incredible. I apologize. I hope you can't hear my dogs. I told my husband before I did this today, I said, hey, I'm going to be on my Stay Wild Child conversations. Will you make sure the dogs aren't barking? That's why I keep muting. It's all right. It's all right.
Well, I have the same thing going on. I don't know if you hear the banging. They're creating the cover for the new boat that they just bought. They found this great deal on a Sea Ray, and we've been having a great time on the boat. My husband gets scuba dive and whatnot, but we wanted to come to Key West, and the night before last, Greg and my husband Josh were going to use a trailer and drive it down, right? And then we would take the kids in a separate car, Teddy and I. And Greg calls me the night before they're supposed to leave, and it's like, hey, I have a thought. And he's like, what if we sail the boat there? And I was like, I'll go. Let's go. Yes, let's do that. So we got up at the crack of dawn and we took his boat like across the ocean, open water for 3 hours from Cape Coral to Key West. It was so soul filling, like replenishing by nature. It was so awesome. And on our way, we saw dolphins. I saw a sea turtle. We saw a giant tarpon. What else did we see? Oh, we're pulling into the slip. I see a 5-foot nurse shark. Then there are iguanas walking all over the place. Tremendous.
You know, I know Ellen is a sailor as well and a water girl. And I really feel like water just amplifies your vibration. It just amplifies your energy. And it's like, I don't know, I just think that everything kind of just even flows like a little bit more. And maybe it's because it's the flow of the water, but oh yeah, I totally agree. What a blessing. So how long are you in Key West?
Probably till Friday. We'll see.
I've
We
always
could
wanted
work
to go to
from
Key West.
here. We could do it. I mean, they have a houseboat, their family, so it's great. We could come down. And you know what was interesting is I don't know if you ever experienced this, but you know, there's different energies and choices that you have, right? So they can be flowing and it's great. It's great. But please, it's not always like that. Sometimes they're stuck. And then sometimes you have oscillating, you know, and really getting to the higher and the higher and the higher is the most important thing. Well, I've had a choice around creating magic for kids. I have a 4-year-old, and I'm like, how do I explain these premises to her when abstract thought isn't really something that she can comprehend? I think the frontal lobe doesn't actually solidify until 20, 25, something they say now. And it's really hard for them to grasp thoughts that aren't as concrete, you know? With religion, it's the same kind of deal. Uh, so I was just thinking about it, and it really hasn't been coming, hasn't been flowing. So I gave myself yesterday on the boat. I said, I don't want you to think about anything. I just want you to absorb. Like, Mariah, give yourself this day, and I want you to surrender to this day. This is the inner monologue that I have. And sure enough, as we're going, stuff's dropping in left and right. And I'm like, that would be really cool for a book. And oh, that's how I need to explain it. And that's that premise. Perfect.
Is it okay? I'm glad that you brought that up because I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how you created this choice. And so you saw your vision, and you've held this vision. And how long have you held this vision on moving by the water and your husband becoming a scuba instructor? How long have you had that vision?
Well, it started as really just simple life by the beach. And that started 5 years ago, probably, right? I was still at Rackspace, still working, but I knew that for my family, I wanted to get us to the water. I thought it would be and I still have choices like that. I have a choice to live in Europe. I have a choice around owning a guest house, like in not third world, but a very rural, I guess you'd say.
A remote
Remote,
destination.
remote
Yes.
destination. There you go.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and really, what I found the trick to be is just stepping in and asking your intuition, like set the intention to get insights, right? And just clear your mind, clear your heart, connect with the energy that you have when you're walking on that beach. What does it feel like? Also, this is really helpful. If it was handed to me today on a platter, would I take it? What am I afraid of if I had it, right? So for me, like with the guest house, it's when I look at the fundamentals, uh, it would be going bankrupt, right? And
Sure.
doing something that is very unsafe for my family and making them miserable, right? So I will never create that choice if in my ego and my identity, these are my primal fears against it, right? So I think naming those and really understanding those and going deep um,
Yeah.
and making some of those not sub choices, not giving them the power, but really addressing those um,
Right.
then opens up your mind to accepting that choice, because you could have these high, lovely, fairy dairy kind of choices, but if you don't allow yourself to see the reason why you don't have it today, then you'll never create it.
Sure. Yeah. So it's being, yeah, it's basically naming every single thing that can come up if you decide. So for example, I want a swimming pool. And so, I've wanted a swimming pool since I've lived here. I live at the lake and it's great, but I personally don't like my feet getting in that ooky mud in this time of year. This time of year, the ground is mushy and I just don't like it because I'm like, what the hell is under there? And so that's just, I love my water, but I'd like a pool just to be able to, have a swim in and lay out and have cocktails and all that kind of stuff. So, but of course, I've wanted a pool since I've lived here. We've lived here almost 12 years, and I haven't pulled the trigger because of the what ifs, right? The what ifs of, oh shit, what if we stop making money? What if we end up having to sell our house? And, there's just all these things that our brain tells us. But what you're saying is getting real with all the what ifs, all the resistance around that choice, and really laying them all out there. And then still, because I've had this vision of a pool, like I said, for 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
I can see the whole freaking thing. I can feel myself in that swimming pool. And so, so then it's holding that vision, right? And
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, one of the fundamental premises of magic is focus creates reality. So you could see exactly what you're focusing on in your life, right? By looking at your current reality. So
Exactly.
if not having a pool for 12 years, there's you're putting your focus, potentially into some of the what ifs and that sort of thing,
Oh,
rather
I'm
than
sure.
into the end result that you'd really love. And I did that for years, and oh my goodness, what a journey it is. And this stuff doesn't like come overnight. It's lots
Of
of
course.
practice and
Oh yeah, it's
the
an
rest of
unlearning.
our lives.
Right.
I
Totally.
catch myself today like, I cannot believe I did that. Hello, identity. How are you?
Yes.
Glad to see you.
It's letting go. For me, it's so much letting go. It's
Mm-hmm.
and that just I've noticed even like at the beginning of Shelter in Place, and I've shared this story in one of my conversations before, but I remember, so my niece and I, we were in New York City and COVID hit. Times Square emptied. They closed Broadway. Like we were there when it was all happening.
Wow.
And so my sister-in-law was a little nervous because I had her daughter and she's like, maybe I should come home early. And I'm like, okay. So we tried to get on a plane early. We couldn't. And I said, you know what? We're going to have fun. We're going to go to the Start. I think it's called the Stardust, where they sing, they kind of do, so it's in New York City and it's, they do music. It's people who have been on Broadway or are aspiring Broadway artists. They sing numbers while they wait tables, basically. So I'm like, we're going to do that. It's going to be okay. We're going to get on a plane. We're going to come home. So we came home, got home, and my mind, because it was being programmed everywhere, my mind immediately went to, oh shit, what if business starts going down? What if, what if? And I said, oh, and here's the great thing about the practice of this journey and the letting go. It's that you can catch it faster. So I had a day when I got home from New York of what if, right? Like, what if I was sick because I'd been in New York? And, that was
Mm-hmm.
obviously the Mecca Center, and they were
Yeah.
saying that. I'd been around a couple people who'd sneezed and all this, so my mind, was like, so I kind of had this day of money and illness, and these things all kind of popped in my head. And I said, wait a minute, those are all like what ifs. That's all like fear stuff. What's going on with you? Okay. And I named it, right? And then I just said, you know what? I've done that. I've been here before. I let it all go. And thankfully I haven't brought that program, back in since. But it's true. It's like it's the letting go, but it's also naming the what ifs, because they can kind of sneak in if you don't catch them all, right?
Yeah. That, and I also think the how, right?
Mm.
So for a long time, if I had a choice
Oh,
and I
yes.
couldn't see every step along the way, I wouldn't take the first step. And that's
Right.
one of the, I think, the biggest growth opportunity that I've had for, the past couple of years is taking that first step into the unknown, like the Frozen 2 soundtrack. Because your intuition, you're not going to know every step. And
Right.
it may not unfold the way that you thought it would. Like my
Oh, yeah.
simple life on the beach, I think a stepping stone is for me to be in Florida right now and live it up and have a great time during COVID. But it's not the end all be all. But I don't know how that'll unfold, right?
Mm.
I want to live in Europe. I don't know how that'll unfold, but I need to keep stepping into that choice
You
and
do.
taking the next obvious action, right? Which sometimes is do nothing,
Yeah.
right? Enjoy this time now. So
Yes.
the how is a real big one for me, and I think for all of us is just
Oh, yeah.
really trying to figure it out and thinking it needs to happen a certain way. You could still get that end result, like when COVID started. I don't know about you, but I was feeling a lot of like, well, now I can't travel. I can't create that. I can't create this, right? How the hell am I going to travel the world with my family, do backpacking adventures with Scarlett and Josh, in the midst of COVID? Um, I have to wait for all of this to pass. Like the conditions and the circumstances have to be correct in order for me to create something. Little did I know we could still travel and have adventures here in Florida, you know, safely. Um, it didn't unfold the way that I thought it would. Um, but I will still get that end result. And it's all about that energy. I want to have this wonderful family life where we're exploring together, we're trying everything. She pursues her passions. My husband's fulfilled. He's on his own journey, and I'm a wife that can support him in that. Um, and I don't know what that will look like,
Yeah.
but I certainly know when I'm in it and the energy is there.
Yeah. Yeah. It,
Hmm.
it 100%. My husband, he's a musician, and he had so he's been putting this band together, and it's been a gift to watch. He had put down his guitar for about 20 years
Mm.
and picked it up just a couple of years ago. For the last year, he's been putting together a band. And he's one of those, he really is a performer, so he really wants it done right. And he's got a certain standard that
Uh-huh.
he holds himself to a certain standard, which I'm just
Mhm.
supportive of. And I'm like, okay, if you just do that. Well, so they had their first show at the end of December. And it was amazing. It was dynamic. It was such a good show. And he's like riding high, and he has all these shows that he had booked. And of course, COVID hit, and those shows got canceled. And so he kind of sunk down. It was short lived, but he sunk down, for just a little bit. He was like, oh my gosh, oh, I've just worked so hard for this, and
Mhm.
everything's crashing down around me. He was kind of, doing that whole thing. And I said, look, this, we don't know how long this is going to last. And, of course, me, I'm always the cheerleader. And so I'm like, oh, we've got this, babe. Maybe this is time for you to work on this. And so maybe you should start a new project. And, I'm giving him, of course, all these little things that I think that maybe would help him, not be sad about it. However, it's Texas, and so we have actually opened up our restaurants, and they can be at 50% capacity and all this other good stuff. And so his goal is to play every other month. And so about 6 times a year. And so far this year, he's played, he's just about to do his third show. And so he's on track with, playing 6 times a year. He's totally on track for that. And when he thought that everything was going to, but we just don't know how everything's going to work out. But once we have that intention, once we have that vision in our mind, then we just allow it to unfold and trust the process.
Yes. Yes. Trusting the process and the structure, right?
Yeah.
So, masculine energy, you have your choice, your vision, the
Yeah.
end result, right? And then your feminine energy is kind of really the intuition and allowing things to fall rather than trying to figure it out. I mean, I spent my entire life figuring it out,
I know me
Um,
too. I'm really good at figuring shit out.
and it's such a push,
It
and
is.
it's like you're not inspired. You're not, mm. But when those hits come, that's when you're like, ah, I need my book and pen. Something else that I've recently done, and it has been like such a blessing. Um, I found this app, Otter, and it gives you 600 minutes free, and it's a translator, right? And it on your phone and all this stuff. So I just hit record button, and as I'm doing my choices, as I'm doing whatever, when I have a thought, I just record it, and it sends me a transcript. It's fantastic. Some conversations that I have with my friends and my husband, and I'm like, man, this would really serve people. I just hit that record, and I'm like, you know
What is
what,
it called?
Otter.
Otter. Okay, I'm writing
Otter,
it down.
yeah.
Okay.
Write it down, everybody. Otter is great. So, and here's the thing. I don't know how I'm going to use this one day, but I do have a choice, and I know it's true for me to share my voice in the world. I don't know what that looks like. I don't need to know what that looks like. But one of the things that came to me is I need to start recording some of this stuff and like getting it in writing. Great. That's my next step, right? That's how it works. I have the structure, I step into the structure, I let the insights kind of fall in, have no idea how that will unfold, but I know that it'll come to me when it's time.
Yes, 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 yes. And here's the cool thing, like you're already sharing your voice today. And
I know, isn't
that's
that weird?
right. Yeah. So so you're totally like taking action in that area of, you know, exactly the life that you want to create. And that's such the beautiful part about it. We all have this opportunity to step into our magic. And I know that I don't know. I guess it can. I guess the resistance can be scary sometimes, and the not knowing the how. I guess that can
Mm-hmm.
be intimidating. I mean, I have a workshop I want to create. I have a children's book I want to write. I have a lot of things, right? I have
Yeah.
all these little pieces, and they haven't unfolded exactly yet, but I have them all written down, and I have the idea and I have the feeling around it, and I know that they're going to happen. And so I've kind of let go of the how, but still taking action in the things that I don't know come to me. So yeah.
And for me, it was fear of judgment, right?
Mm,
Like that's,
of
that was such
course,
a big one.
that's my big one
Um,
too. Yeah.
and the fear of owning a choice. So it's really scary to be able to say to folks, and this is kind of where we say the crossroads, like I'm all in with magic or I'm not, to be able
Right.
to say with folks, oh, yeah, I'll absolutely live in Europe one day. Oh, how are you going to do that? When are you going to do that? You've got COVID. You don't even work in Europe. You're going to have a global tribe. What are you talking about? Right. Um,
Mm,
saying, oh, no, that will absolutely happen one day. And I don't need to know how today,
yeah.
right? And owning,
Right.
being okay with that, and being
Hmm.
okay with the judgment of others, that sounds crazy.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, it is. It's and and that judgment honestly has nothing to do with us. It's
No.
just no. And that's the part that that's the part that trips you up. And here's the other thing. I was so concerned. I was concerned with the judgment for a long time. And it was interesting. Once I kind of started allowing the magic to unfold, those that I thought would really, really judge me are not judging me at all.
Yeah.
And honestly, they've let a little bit more of their magic out, and I've watched it unfold, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty freaking cool.
That's
That's pretty fun to
sexy.
watch. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. This Stay Wild Child, I had it you might have been on the same meditation retreat that you might have been there, but I had this idea of this group, Stay Wild Child, and I didn't exactly know what it was, but I came home, took action, started the group, and I was still kind of, I'm still totally toying with the idea of the total unfolding of everything that's going to transpire out of this group. But I know we've got a lot of really cool people in it, and so a friend, Zoe, who was on Stay Wild Child, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Mhm.
She said, you're a pretty good communicator. Have you thought about interviewing people in your group? And I said, yes, that's it. Well, so all the fears came up. How am I going to have enough people? Is there going to be enough people to talk to? Is there
Mhm.
going to be, I had all these things that all these fears came up. And literally, I just have magicians and creators and light workers and love warriors and healers, and they just show up one after another. Like, I need to book probably 4 more people, but I'm booked all the way through October. And so I need to book them. I'll get to it because everybody just kind of keeps showing up for me. And I've let go, and I've just trusted the process of it. And I anticipate that people will always just show up. And so it won't ever be hard to book the show, because I mean, it's just proven that once I've stepped forward in that creation of it, it just flows.
Well,
Because it's what I love.
True for you, and it's
True for me.
also serving others.
Yeah.
Funny that you would mention that. So through my corporate career, obviously, this hair is really driving me crazy. I don't know if everybody can see it. It's driving me crazy. See, look, that is
Yeah,
nuts.
I see it. I see
Am
it.
I right? Should we do it like
Wipe your eyes. Yeah, you're like, I can't see.
We're gonna put that there.
Yeah.
Throughout now I got a comb over, so that's fantastic. When in my corporate career, I was petrified of public speaking. It was a big thing that I needed to do, right? And it really held me back. I noticed I didn't speak up in meetings. I didn't think that my voice had value. There was just so much around it, and I've done a lot of soul searching around why that is, right?
Yeah.
But I even would take a beta blocker before I had to get up on stage and speak to, 100 people or 200 people, whatever. Through this work, though, and really, we say magic, and all magic means is that I set the intention. I allow my natural gifts to advise me, and things happen more effortlessly. So because it's in line with what's true for me, I'm not trying to force, myself into like a contrived or the way I should be, what was expected of me, right? So things seem to happen as magic.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I tell people it's magic. My husband's so funny. Go hang out with your witches. But
right.
It's
the same exact thing.
But truly, all it is like a more effortless way to live. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
So with this public speaking, I would take a beta blocker and all that. Then, Ellen and I kind of worked through, some of the reasons that was happening, but really stepping into a place of service. So I had mentioned before I came on the call today with you that, my end result was really for you and I to have a lot of fun, to get to know each other even better, and to hopefully inspire some folks in knowing that there's like an easier way to live and a more fulfilling and a more fun way to live, right? And that was my end result. So when I connect with that energy, right, and I connect with truly wanting to serve people and share that love and that experience, and then all of a sudden the fear goes away, right? The butterflies go away. I used to break out in hives. I mean, it was a thing. I wouldn't sleep the night before, but I had to get on stage, like throw up before, like it was horrible. And now just truly connecting with my mission and my purpose and my people, and I'm here to serve, right? Fear goes away. Let's have a conversation. It's great.
I know it is. It's all about that intention. That intention. Last year, my word was intention for 2019, and I don't know what it is, but maybe I don't know if there's resistance around it, or just I didn't have it forefront. Since I used it in 2019 as my word, it showed up everywhere all the time. I had Post-it notes everywhere. Intention, intention, intention. And now it's really natural for me. When I cook, I set an intention. When I drink water, I set an intention over my water. And so when I go to aerial, I can get into my head. So I do aerial silks. I do I climb and Cirque du Soleil kind of stuff. But I set the intention.
So fun. Love it.
I like play. But when I go, I set the intention of play, because I know that I can get in because of my perfectionism. I can get in judgment of myself about if I didn't do something right. But if I set that intention of play, it's the best freaking time, and I'm so much stronger, and my moves are so much more fluid, and it's that intention, and that is what magic is. It's that intention behind what truly lights us up.
Yeah. and setting that end result for everything. I
Yes.
liken it to
Yes.
the,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
remember the Showtime rotisserie, set it and forget it? That's the,
Yes.
as like magicians or people that, really want
Yes.
to live this kind of creative lifestyle, um, our job is to hold the tension, right? So
Yeah.
I know my end result is to eventually live on the beach, have a guest
Yeah.
house, whatever. It's setting the tension and knowing that that is my end result. I will get there. I need to step into the emotion I feel, all that good stuff, and follow my natural, we call them bridges, but obvious
Right.
next actions,
Right. Right.
and allow it to unfold naturally. Um, and that's what I like about the Showtime rotisserie, because like with this, you set it and forget it. So like, yes, I have to step into the choice every day, but there's nothing I have to do, you know?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it's not like I have a huge laundry list of everything that I need to do today. It's like, make a phone call to that person. I don't know why, but you need to make a phone call. Great. Call that person. Next thing I know, they're like, hey, I have this cool new opportunity for you. I was just thinking about you. All right,
Yes.
let's do that. And it's amazing um, how fluid your life becomes. And you can notice exactly when you get in your stuff because it's not as easy anymore, right?
Right. Right. The struggle sets in, the
Mm-hmm.
to-dos and the, yes. It
As
starts
soon as I
becoming
do,
effort,
I
right?
should, I
Efforting.
need to,
Mm, I need
I'm
to.
in the wrong energy.
Yes. I know. And for me, that can be many times during the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to step back and I have to take some deep breaths and say, okay, I'm in the efforting because I feel like, oh, in order to prove your worth, you need to go effort.
Mm-hmm.
It's just my, yeah, for me it's just those old programs that you think you've gone in and you've taken care of all of them and you've healed them all, but nope, they pop back up again.
Yeah.
But at least there's a huge awareness that they're popping back up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I can catch them before they get a little too out of control for me. So
Yeah, that's one that I struggle with. That value
right,
equals
doing,
productivity. Yeah.
yes,
Um, and if I don't work real hard for it, I don't deserve it, or it doesn't have the same value.
sure,
If people think that I'm lazy or selfish, my judgment of others. That's why I really love that book, The Four Agreements.
oh
And anybody that hasn't read it, you have to read The Four Agreements. And it's four simple agreements. Applying to life is a lot more difficult than just reading them, right?
yeah,
But if you can start to apply just one or
yes,
two of those on a more regular basis, the freedom that comes, the weight on your chest, the anxiety, the inability to sleep through the night, and um, waking up with your to-do list going crazy, all of that really subsides and you
it
can
does.
breathe easier just putting in one or two. Hi, that's Greg.
I
He's working on the
saw.
boat.
You got real low.
He's so cute.
Yeah,
That's my
but you're
prom date.
right. Oh yeah. Oh cool. It is. I actually did a little workshop on the four agreements at the beginning of this year, and I'll definitely do it again. I'll definitely host that workshop again. But yeah, that book has been life changing for me. And I'm a visual girl, and so I love the visuals that they put in that book and the impeccability of the word. And they say you're either creating white magic with your word or you're creating
Mhm.
black magic with your word. And to me, I mean, it's just such a visual. It's seeing, the breath and seeing the words that are coming out of your mouth, and if you're seeing them as white, and you're projecting love and light and good energy, and then you're also doing the same right back into your own brain. You're talking to yourself in a way that you would a little kid, you would a little 3 or 4 year old. I mean, you would never be harsh to them. And so it's that visual. And then it's the black magic of when you do get into your head and you start beating yourself up for what you should have done and how you didn't exercise and you ate that extra bite of chocolate and you should, like you pull all that into your brain. And so it's just the visual of that blackness and that darkness coming in. And so I love the Four Agreements. It's been a big game changer. Do you have it on Audible by chance?
I don't. I just have
Okay,
books.
it's great. It's like $5. It's like $4.99 or something.
I'm gonna need to get
And he's got such a soothing voice. And I'll pop it on just, just every now and again. It's like, oh, when the Four Agreements comes into my brain, I'm like, oh, let me pop it on for my drive from here to here. And he does he's got this beautiful meditation that's at the end. And he walks you through that meditation. And it's really a gift. I love that book.
Well, I just got waterproof headphones, so I'm gonna have to do that and download it, and then on the drive back on the boat, I could listen to it out on the
Waterproof
ocean.
headphones.
Isn't that great? You
Nice.
could swim with them. Greg
Oh
introduced me.
my gosh. So much
Oh,
cool stuff.
right.
So are you a scuba diver as well?
I am actually. I was
Oh,
certified first on the Great Barrier Reef down in Australia, and I kept going on vacation with my husband, and he couldn't scuba dive. So for his 30th birthday, I got him certified as a present when we went away on vacation. And then we started doing some really cool trips, like our honeymoon. We went to Thailand for a month, and we did a live aboard for 3 days. So you're diving, 6 times a day or so. And he really just took to it like a duck to water. Like he has such a passion for scuba diving. And we're going to go lobstering this week. So that's exciting.
ooh. Oh, that's going to be
Lobster
delicious.
season. Hmm.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
How great is that?
there was one thing that just hit me. And
Mhm.
I feel like it's true for me to share because you were talking about like the white and the dark and
Yeah.
impeccability of your word. One thing that I think has really, really served me um, is accepting the light and the dark, right?
Mm,
So we spend our
exactly.
lives trying
Yeah.
to prove that we're good, like, and
Yeah.
whatever the definition of good is, right? We're in this proving that our beliefs are right. This is why we argue with people. We can't see both sides, whatever. We never want to admit to ourselves, like, I was a real dick, like in that
Yeah.
situation. I didn't handle it
Sure.
really well.
Right.
But the more honest that you can be with yourself and with
Yes.
others and say, like, man, I have this great side, right? But I'm human and I also have
Human.
this dark side. And to love me is to love all of me. The way you
Mm,
start loving other people in your life is all of them as well. And
yeah.
then all of a sudden, the proving behavior goes away because you're
Yeah.
not always having to prove that you're good. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I
Totally.
don't know if that
Totally.
just triggered.
I shared this meme in Stay Wild Child. I think it was yesterday, and it was a white German Shepherd and a black German Shepherd, and they had their arms around each other. The two German Shepherds did, and they had their backs. And it said, "When your light and your dark are balanced." and I was like, "Exactly, yeah," because it's
Yes.
true. It's just being honest with yourself, and
And that was really difficult for me, right? So
yeah,
when we
I
have
know.
this
It can be,
perfectionism,
yeah, right.
you know and that's why we struggled so hard. I adopted the 80/20 rule, and I think motherhood has really helped me do that.
Yeah,
Also kind of being a leader of teams and whatnot, like, there's a difference of moving the needle forward and analysis paralysis. And I think that we get so caught up in the washing machine kind of thing of perfectionism, and especially as
yes,
women, that when we could put that aside and say, I have a light and a dark. Sometimes, to love me is to love all of me, and I am not perfect,
right.
but I'm going to try. And with the four agreements, I'm going to try to be impeccable with my word as best as I can. And I'm always doing my best. And if you have a problem with that, it's not about me, it's about you. It's triggering something in you, right? That I'm not perfect. I
Yeah.
don't know why you're dealing with that, but I don't expect myself to be perfect because I don't expect anybody else to be either,
Anybody
right?
else? Yeah, exactly. Right.
Mhm.
We're all just humans having a human experience, and we're all just, for the most part, just doing the best we can.
Yeah, and that's all we should do and enjoy it. I mean, what's the purpose of being here if we're not going to have joy in our lives, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That is always my message. And it's enjoying the moment. So my word this year is celebrate. And
Mm,
actually, when it hit when COVID hit, I thought, oh shit, my word, celebrate. but once I, got out of that trigger that I had in my head, and that fear of loss, and fear of change, and all of that. Once I accepted it and let go of control around it, I started finding, oh, there's lots of things to celebrate. Hey, let's do a garden. Hey, I can cook a little bit more. Hey, it's you take the pressure off, and all these things start to unfold. And now I'm back in Ariel, and Johnny gets to play at the end of this week, and we've had lots of family together to celebrate, and I've got a little grandbaby coming. So there's so many things to celebrate. And when you get in that energy, it just starts expanding. So
And it's infectious, and it
it
expands
is.
to other people. It's that ripple effect, like you having this beautiful podcast, and you never know who you're touching, and who they're touching, and how we're changing really the interaction of the world, and the way that we all have to live. We could define the world the way we want, which is fantastic.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, girl, it has been a gift having you on the show. I hope that you get lots of beautiful sunshine today, that the sea just continues to nourish your soul, and you get to spend time with your family. And I'm so happy for you. I'm really, really happy for you.
Oh, I just love you so much.
It's been a gift. It's been a gift.
Mhm.
All right, love. Well, thanks everybody for joining, and we will be back next week. Oh, hey, don't forget, we've got Woo Woo Wellness coming up this Sunday. I've got 6 healers for this incredible free event that's all free to use. So make sure you join us on Woo Woo Wellness this Sunday, and y'all have a great day. All right, see you later, sweetie. Mwah.
Bye.
Bye.